Hello, hello, welcome. I'm Rachel Archelaus, founder of the Intuitive Art Academy, and I'll probably be updating that title soon. Exciting. And that's kind of why we're here today. Carrie is joining me, Carrie Roldan, your business BFF. I could not live without her. She's amazing. And today we're going to talk about something that is near and dear to all of our hearts, which is finding financial and creative freedom. Now, this is a very nebulous topic. We could come at this from many, many different ways, just like the light pouring through my window. And so we're just going to let it loose, let it fly. You guys can chime in the chat. We want to hear from you. I did put some of my favorite resources down below in the description box so that if we mention any of these things, I'll let you know where to find it. But basically, the whole reason that we're talking about this, and then I'll let Carrie come on in, is I was having a conversation with my friend recently, and we were sharing like our investment strategies and to Roth or not to Roth, how are we going to support ourselves basically when we retire? And he was saying this morning, thank you for showing me all of this because it helps me to see that money is not just about buying things or having a retirement. It's about freedom. It's about relying less on a 9-to-5 or even your own business to support you. When you can leverage money, it's about freedom. It's about giving yourself the time and the space to see what's in here that wants to be out here. Where's my unlimitedness? And so my word for the year is unbounded, which is basically unlimited. It's hard to do that if you're still worrying about money, right? And I've been lucky in that I've found over the last few years, especially, that I don't have to work full time to be supported financially. And so my business makes more money than I need to live. So I can have time and space and resources to invest in my creative freedom. And that to me is the ultimate dream. So that, but also, what if you accomplish that and then you find that your creative dreams, your creative energy, your creative ideas actually bring in more. They invite in the riches that you really, really want. So this is a huge conversation. And I just want to welcome you. Hi, Corinne. Hi, Jana. Hi, Guillaume. Hi, everybody else. And see what Carrie has to say while I adjust this with something here.
Well, and bad timing. I'm going to take a sip and say hey to everybody. And you guys, if you are one of our religious viewers, you guys know that I often come not knowing what the heck we're going to talk about today. And I came to this call and I was just a few minutes early and Rachel and I were chatting and I was like, oh, after it's over, I need to talk to you about something. Maybe I'll be in a better place after this call. I had no idea what it was. I'm like, but it's about money. And then here we are. So I love it. I love how this works. And I was experiencing resistance, Rachel, as you were talking. So I'm just going to talk through it. And I hope that this is really helpful to you guys. So I know from testing my inner knowing, I know from life experience that everything you just said is true. And I found myself arguing, which Rachel's nodding. She's like, yeah, I know you. I found myself arguing in my head I found myself arguing for my own limitations while you were talking. So I'll share, without sharing everything, I will share that a pattern that I was certain that I had outgrown has reemerged. And I'm kicking myself a little bit there. I'm doing this thing that I did very early on in this journey, which is oh no, I had a thought a couple of days ago, like a passing sort of negative thought, not even negative thought, just like this idea came up, like, oh, is that pattern really gone? And then today it showed itself in a much bigger, more expensive way than it ever has. And anyway, so as you were talking, and you were talking about, so that is how I showed up for this call today. And then as you were talking, and you were talking about investing in your creative freedom, I really loved the idea of that. But the idea of investing in your creative freedom, and even knowing, this is so weird as I'm saying it out loud, so just bear with me, people. Even knowing what I know was like, oh, but then it's putting pressure on your creativity. I know that's not what you're saying, right? But I had that argument that, investing in your creative freedom with the expectation that it will bring you millions and millions and millions of dollars, or that it will bring you total freedom, but you still have bills to pay. Anyways, that's where I went today, people. So number one, we're real and we're human, and this is where I am. And number two, I am experiencing in the now more abundance than I have ever experienced in my entire life. This very expensive thing that just showed up is less than ideal. It's less than ideal because it feels like it's taking from what I was planning to invest. It's taking from what, right? Like, but the truth is, I can do it. I can pay for it. I can, like, you know what I mean? Like, so I am in a better place than I ever have been before. I am definitely not in the place of, oh my God, how am I going to make this happen? Will I be able to feed my children? Are we going to lose our house? Like none of that is there, which let me just tell you, I have been there in the past. But I'm really bummed that this pattern has found itself. The pattern is basically like, every time I think that, oh my gosh, I'm in so much abundance, I'm swimming in cash, I create an expense that will suck it right up. So Rachel, have at me.
Okay, well, first of all, I just want to acknowledge that I think most people here can relate to that. Arguing for our own limitations. When someone says something that sounds too good to be true, or just like we want that, but we haven't been able to figure out how to let that in yet, we're like, no, can't happen. Not for me. Maybe for you, not for me. And I have that too from time to time. But I think I'm just like one of those like really stubborn optimists. Carrie and I are both Aries. We have that ram head on. We know we'll get what we want eventually. But what I really love, and like I want to be totally real with you all for a minute, is Carrie and I usually go through big up levels at the same time. And I have been really going through something quite emotional and like, something big that I have almost felt incapable of handling on my own for the first time in a very long time. And I reached out to Carrie multiple weekends and to my partner, to my family, like thinking, maybe I'm going to need to go see a therapist about this or something, because I don't know how my tools don't seem adequate for this. And also knowing like this is a pattern, like Carrie's pattern that is coming up, that I'm seeing, that I know is leaving me, because I have faith in my process, my system. I know it's leaving me, but it's still really difficult, and I don't like it. I don't like it. And luckily, I have been able to speak about it to many people, and I didn't need to see a therapist, so there's nothing wrong with that, but it's chunked off. It's broken up. I've gotten the relief from it, the release, and maybe it'll come up again. I don't know, but I know I know I'll be able to figure out what to do when that happens. But each time it comes up, even when it's hard to deal with, I see it from a much higher perspective. And even when I don't know what to do about it, I still see it from a higher perspective. I still see the positive side of it. I still see, like, oh, if I'm seeing this clearly, this is no longer deep within me. It's no longer hiding. It's right out here where I can actually deal with it finally. And when our patterns show up again in a way like that, where we're like, oh, that again, I know you, then we are really on the other side of it. We really, really, really are. And one of the things that helped me get through last night and yesterday and this other emotional thing that's been happening is, what does it feel like to just surrender to this? Like, what does it feel like to not fight myself? What does it feel like to just accept this? Right? Because the only thing that causes us pain is our own resistance. Do you remember the story of when there was somebody, this is an old story. I don't even know if it was real, but some girl got pregnant. And the father thought that this monk was the father. So the father brought the baby to the monk. Now, this was not the monk's child, but the monk accepted it and was like, okay, thank you. No fight, no resistance, took it in and was happy, beautiful, raised it, lovely. And then eventually the father found out that the monk wasn't the father and took the child back. And the monk was like, okay, great, wonderful, right? There are so many other ways that story could go. So many fights, so much resistance, so much, crap. But like when we just accept our situation, which is what we're both dealing with right now, situations that are triggering to us, then there's nowhere for the pain to come from. And it just can bubble out. Like for me, it honestly just had to bubble out. And I had to do a lot of talking and I had to do a lot of like accepting, okay, this is where I'm at. How does it feel to surrender to this? And so, I mean, I think even with money in a general sense and what we're talking about today, that's the first step. This is where I am. I can't be anywhere else than I am at this moment. So whatever I have set up for myself, whatever my income is, if my creativity is shoved in a shoebox under the couch, like, okay, that's where it is. This is where I'm at. So how do I surrender to this right now? I don't know if that helped at all, Carrie, but that's what I got for you.
It does help. And I still am resisting the surrender. But when I write down, how does it feel to surrender to this? I have a momentary like good feeling. And then I'm like, but it's not like I can just surrender to blah, 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 which I do recognize is because I am hyper aware that we are on live video and people are watching, and I'm probably not going to be able to surrender in this red hot minute. So I'm giving myself grace and I'm allowing that. And I've written it down because I would like to go to that today. But even as you were talking and saying, when you're here and you're knowing, this is a pattern, here you are again. And I want to talk specifically about finances because I feel like Rachel and I have a wonderful friend who talks about finances in a certain way. And she says, we tend to live in sort of I don't know what word she uses, but like a plane of existence of your finances. And you might live in never enough or always enough or just barely enough or more than enough or plenty or like there's different words. And the pattern that has that I thought that I had ascended, which I recognize. So interesting. I'm going to go into my story. Is I thought that I had gone beyond this, but I was just on a call. So this pattern for me is, it's like more than enough, just barely enough. More than enough, just barely enough. It's this idea that like, oh, here I am living in more than enough. I'm living in plenty. And then boom, big expense. Well, thank God I had enough to cover that big expense. But just when I was becoming rich, right? Like just when I was getting there. So that is, I recognize it used to go from like just barely enough. So I am ascending in spite of this pattern. And so I want to have grace with myself in that. But I was just on a call before this, and I have this amazing client, and she was talking about plucking things from the quantum field, and just like it was like such this juicy conversation. And she was very specific and clear about the dollar amount and recognizing her job is to align with it. And I was like, oh, I totally stopped doing that. Like I was doing that, and I was having so much fun, and like serendipitous money was just showing up because I was like writing it down and being like, ooh, it would be so good to make this much this month, or like, and I guess a little before Christmas, I don't know, I got busy, I got distracted, and I stopped doing that. And so like the answer has already appeared, right? Before I got, so just perspective, I had the coaching call, then I got an email with the news, and then I showed up here. So like the answer showed up before the news, right? Like, oh yeah. And now here I am. So I am already relaxing. I am already more in a place of knowing this is a pattern and everything is working out, and I am moving, I am spiraling up, right? And so all of that is true, but I'm not going to deny that it sucks. And that in this same breath, as I'm saying, oh, this sucks, and my logical mind is like, oh, all that money that you had earmarked for this now has to go to that. That doesn't have to be true, right? That doesn't have to be true. I can live in an and universe. I can have everything that I have asked for. And I know this because all I have to do is get specific in my asking. I inadvertently asked for a reminder. Is that pattern gone? Oh, F me for asking, right? But yeah, I mean, we can create anything. So what it is doing, and if I'm really honest, I have been a little bit comfortable and kind of in this place of like, I don't even know what to want next or what to ask for. Like, and boy, this sounds like a big fun thing to play with.
Yes. Yes. Hi, Mark. Thank you. This is one of my favorite shirts, and I wore this today on purpose because this is a Sasha Velour number. She's a bald drag queen. She won RuPaul's Drag Race many years ago and gets to tour Europe and a little bit of the United States doing her show. She's had Christmas specials. Like, she does a very specific thing that just recently become mainstream, right? And supports herself on her creativity, which is incredible. And yeah, she did it for a long time before she had this big notoriety. But for her, she had enough financial freedom to find her creative freedom and beyond. So that is why I'm wearing this shirt. This is the most complimented shirt I own. So that's always cool too. Let me just kick this spammer out and then we'll.
Well, and while you're doing that, I will say that your word this year was unlimited and unbounded. So thank you for reminding me of that, because it did help me. How does it feel to surrender? It did help me like access that. You also said the only thing that causes pain is our own resistance. Thanks for that reminder. But it reminded me that my word this year is receive.
Yes. So, Roniel, hi. Oh my gosh, everybody's here today. When you were talking, I just heard, because I had had the same thing prior to my aligning to 100,000 a month moment of, oh, this just means that I want slash need more. This means like if I need to use up all my money for this thing, that just means I need more. I need a bucket for that all the time, or I need 10 buckets with that much money in it. And it was reminding me of another conversation I had with this friend where I was telling him like I would have a job and then get a raise and think, "Oh god, like if I made $18 an hour, I would be so rich." But then you get to $18 an hour from 16 or 12 or whatever, and you realize, "Oh, I haven't been to the dentist in 5 years. I need tires for my car." It's like we can receive more, but it gets eaten up so fast because a lot of us in this country, we're not living at capacity, right? Like there's things that are just naturally beneficial for us as humans that we're not able to afford unless we have a lot more money. And I'm not even talking about like, transcontinental travel, it's just like necessity things. So there's definitely something about advocating for your own financial freedom that goes such a long way towards like externalizing this idea of alignment that we talk about. When we find a way to allow financial freedom, some padding, some room, some retirement into our lives, then we're literally externalizing self love. We're externalizing that alignment. And so when we focus on alignment, like Carrie's saying, that is a natural thing that happens. But it also it has to happen with our consent. We can beat it back as much as we want and be frustrated, which it happens to every single one of us. Um, yeah, right? Otherwise, we'd all be billionaires right now.
Well, yes. Yeah, I'm like internalizing. I would actually love I'm asking for comments here. Like, how is this landing with you guys? Um I have been, I don't want to say ignoring intuitive nudges, but I've had repeated intuitive nudges that I have like put on my list that get shoved off my list. Um, and those things have to do with like, there's just a couple of things that I'm like, oh, I want to start developing that habit. Oh, I've been meaning to invest in that. Oh, I like that just have continued to fall off the list. And it's such a reminder, like this may be an expensive one, but like such a reminder to like, oh yeah, do that first. Cause I've been like waiting. I've really just been waiting and procrastinating, and it's been on my list. And recognizing, oh, that is an act of self-love to do that thing first. To those little nudges. Oh, I saw, okay. Squirrel. I saw Guillaume. I saw your comment about Hello Baby, and I know that's the name of Rachel's cat. But at first, I was like, "Who is this guy?" Like, got it, Guillaume, got it. I was like, "Kick that guy out." Oh no, it's got it. Okay.
Oh, I love you. Yes, hello, baby. Guillaume says hello. So, yeah, I mean, Araniel is asking, how can I allow more abundance into my life? Lots of other people are here with us. Like, this is what they're wanting to talk about too. And like you're saying, it's because this is a natural thing, because we are multidimensional and we are unlimitedly abundant in every dimension except for the one here where we're like squeezing it off. When we can relax our grip of resistance, things naturally will come into our life that enhance our abundance. It doesn't usually, it's like sometimes it starts with, you know what used to happen to me when I was really resistant to all of this? It would start with me getting emails of like publisher clearinghouse stuff and like emails of like, you won this, spam. And I was like, oh, okay, well, something's happening, but it's not what I want to happen. And then it would be like, okay, I'd relax a little bit more and hint. That is a word we're going to talk about, relax. Then it would be like I'd get discounts on things, or somebody would buy, like I'd get a free iced tea at Starbucks, or I'd get a 2-for-1, or I'd get a refund, or like little things would happen with actual money where my money would go farther. And then like random money things would come in, like I'd have an idea to start an Etsy store and I'd actually sell a painting, or someone would say, hey, could you do this? Like, can you mow my lawn? I'll pay you. Or little things. It builds and builds and builds as we grow our allowance of more abundance. But if I was going to say generally, like, okay, we're all where we are, right? We can't get around that. We're where we are. How do we allow more of our natural abundance that's swirling around up here to be actually in our physical world? Is that we relax. Because if we're trying, if we're stressed, if we are strategizing, if we are resisting in any of those ways, we're clenched, right? We're like, oh, I can't make it happen. It's not happening. I want it to happen. How come it's not happening? And even if we don't feel tenser than usual, let me tell you, you are carrying that around. We are naturally so accustomed to our level of stress and anxiety that we don't really think we're that stressed, but we actually are. I'm still there. I'm still always like, why are my shoulders so tight all the time? Well, because I have this level of underlying tension. I don't really know anyone who doesn't. And that's okay. Like, we're not here to be perfect. We're here to be humans and go through this journey. And so what helps people feel relaxed? It's going to be different for everyone, but I think there are some general things. I find like if I search on yoga for restorative yoga or yin yoga, oh my God, so relaxing. You might hate it, but it's relaxing. Meditation, all different kinds. If guided meditation helps you feel relaxed, great. If listening to white noise helps you feel relaxed, great. Listening to your breath, intuitive art helps me feel relaxed. It gets that multidimensional energy flowing through my body and it gives me some clarity. You can go for a walk. I like to sit in nature and just stare at things. Like I stare at the leaves, I stare at the tree bark. Presence is what develops from that. So making it a priority to feel relaxed actually goes really, really, really far in letting you hear, like Carrie's saying, those nudges. Like, oh, it would be kind of great for me to do this. And if I can let myself do that, that will help me externalize my multidimensional energy. That's what we're really looking for. So Carrie, I see you got something.
Yeah, I'm yawning away. Yes. So thank you so much. Like I'm having sometimes when I'm having these like serendipitous integrating moments, I have a hard time verbalizing, which is, as you know, we watch, like I usually verbalize away. So yes, thank you. I just was taking notes as you were talking and recognizing that this is actually a happy reminder of everything that you just said. Like I do want more and bigger. And I've been wanting that for years. Like you have known me. Like those of you who haven't heard this story, one of the very first times I met with Intimate Alien, she was like, "Oh, girl, you got bigger dreams than I've ever seen." And also massive resistance. Like, so I think it is just that. It's just this reminder of I have even recently been having trouble accessing well, what do I even want? Like, what do I like? Dreaming has been part of my daily practice for a long time, and kind of everything had been stale. Like, I don't know. And so just having this conversation and listening to that has been like a reawakening and opening of all of that, and having this like recognition, this pattern recognition is just, it's like the kick in the pants I needed to like make me remember what I want and what it feels like and what I'm excited about, and that I know that I can create it. So, and all of that is relaxing. And then as you were talking, I was reminded, like just today, I've been having trouble kind of like meditating, like forcing myself to, I sit there, but I'm like, and today, like I just kept accidentally like zoning out and right. So like, I love the reminder that by the time you recognize it, it's already leaving. By the time you see it, it's on its way out. And yes, I'm fully aware that I am seeing everything we're talking about from a higher perspective than I ever have. So like, thanks guys. This has been really, really, really good. And I am asking for like next level shit. Like I am not, and I know you are too. And so of course we're going through what we're going through. And I find it like fascinating the areas in our lives that we're going through it, like based on our history, like of course. And so just thank you so much for this. And I hope this is helpful for everyone watching, is like the perspective of like, oh, I created this. This is for me. It is helping me get where I've asked to go. It is. And so I feel way better. I feel super good. I feel open. The reminder about the yin yoga, just so much stuff is like, oh yeah. And I actually kind of started doing that like recently. Like, oh, I already said like, yes, I love it. So thank you. Yeah, I have this really big ask. Well, I say really big, but I mean, what's really big, right? I have a strong desire. And I've been holding it away from myself because I've been calling it really big. And now I'm just kind of excited about it. So yeah.
So Mark, you have amazing questions and I want to get to them. But first, I just want to quickly break down what Carrie is talking about with like, okay, we both have big dreams, bigger dreams than we probably have a belief for yet. We don't currently know how to get that, and we don't currently believe we can have that. So that presents a problem, right? That presents resistance. But at the same time, our momentum keeps carrying us forward. And what's happening right now is like this clash of waves. I have resistance in me that cannot fit into where I'm going. I cannot bring my baggage with me. It will not fit. If the vibration of where I'm going is here and the baggage I'm holding is here, I can't move forward with the baggage. So right now, I'm at a wall. The baggage has to leave. These traumas have to leave in order for me to get to where I'm going. And you bet I'm going to get to where I'm going. And so we have these bigger emotional moments when we're actually on the right path. It doesn't mean you're doing something wrong when something like this, for me, it just felt like all of a sudden one day there was just bubbling up of shit that like nothing really necessarily was different, right? I've been in the same situation for years, could have been triggered at any point in time, but now all of a sudden it doesn't fit anymore. It has to leave. And so this is a process. Like when you want more, you will get more, but only when you are in alignment with it. And your higher self is always guiding you into alignment with what you want, but you need to be different here. You need to be a match. And so that's what Carrie and I are doing right now. We're being guided to be a match to what we want, and the things that cannot come with us are having to leave. And so we're like having to see it all, like, oh my God, what, this fell out of me? I didn't know you were still there. So I just want to point that out. And now anything you want to add to that before we talk about Mark?
Well, no, I was going to go to Mark's question. Like,
all right.
Yeah.
So what is the key mindset change that allows more abundance into our life? In other words, the world programs us to believe lack is our lot.
Does it though?
Well, I mean, I would probably, yeah. So, anything you want to add to that?
Well, that's the mindset shift. Like, that's it. Is what I'm hearing is, in other words, I have been programmed to believe that lack is my lot. So how do I deprogram myself? Right? Is that like, because there's plenty of people in the world who have been programmed to believe that there's no such thing as lack, that there's more than enough, and that the world will figure out how to, I feel like I cannot get through one of these live streams without mentioning some sort of Netflix show. So I don't know what that says about me, but I just watched Becoming Anna, and it is fascinating, but it is about a girl who she definitely believes that the world owes her a lot of money, right? And goes through life creating that. She creates all sort of other crap too, but so there's plenty of people who are not programmed to believe that lack is their lot. So that's sort of a fun, this maybe isn't the key mindset shift. I'll let Rachel go there, because I don't know that for me, it's less of a mindset shift and just more of a shift. But I will say the perspective, right? Looking at things from a different perspective. Like, you guys watched me do that today. I was very careful not to show up to the call saying, well, this is the reality, right? But I could have looked at it from, I tried to show up neutral instead of showing up like defeated and wounded and all of that. But if we're going to go mindset, it's doing what you've watched me do on this call, where I showed up believing, this is indicative of a pattern. This always happens. I can't believe this is happening again. Just when I think I've outgrown it, I really realized nothing ever changes, right? Like, you watched me go from that and move slowly up the scale to, I can create anything I want, and I've got massive dreams, and this is actually helping me get to my dreams, right? You guys literally watched me go through that. So I think that for me, that if I think about mindset shift, it's about doing what I just did, which is relaxing enough to allow a different perspective, and then soothing myself. And when you were talking, Rachel, at one point, I was like, oh, and I wish I would have marked it somehow, but it was this idea. I used to always hate when people would say, well, just relax and feel better, and then everything you want will come to you. And it's because that can be impossible when you're feeling like crap. And so it's about willingness to relax, and willingness to look at it from a different perspective, and willingness to just put it down for a second. And if I had, I keep saying if there was one thing, but if I had to name one mindset shift, I think for me it would be willingness to relax, willingness to allow. But what do you say? What say you, Rachel Archelaus? Oh, look at your cat.
That's so cute. So I think there is no one key mindset change for everybody. I think it's going to be different for you and me and Carrie. and like certain words will land with me when I'm ready to hear them, and then you and someone else. So like that's why there's so many different teachers in the world, and like everyone has their own timeline. And I think for me, recognizing that it's it's okay for me to prioritize my own well-being. That was a big shift for me. Um, Knowing that I'm not on this earth to only serve others is pretty big. That might be more female based, I don't know. But I think knowing that what you want is possible and is happening for you can be enough of like a carrot to help you keep going, and knowing that the little steps are worth it. Like, okay, I'm feeling really overwhelmed right now. I'm going to go watch a funny video and feel better. I'm going to go meditate. I'm going to like erect a practice around feeling good and feeling centered and feeling aligned. Because sometimes we need an external motivator to help us with these little things. It can't just be like enlightenment or creative fulfillment, right? Like we need an actual, like, I will be able to pay my bills easier if I do this. I knew I was lactose intolerant my whole life, but I didn't stop eating dairy fully until I was like sick of the pimples that it put on my face, because for me, dairy and pimples were linked. Like we can do and use vein motivators if we need to. There's nothing wrong with that, because it gets us in the habit to then continue on for different reasons. So I would just say like this whole idea, like, I don't know who, yeah, Corinne was like, yeah, it takes the pressure off because we don't need to be perfect. Yeah, like, lighten up. It's okay. Like, we don't need to have these purely altruistic goals. We're not even here for that. We don't need to have perfection in order to achieve our dreams. We don't need to be the perfect version of ourselves to have what we want. We just need to be willing, like Carrie's saying, to like listen to our own inner selves and put ourselves in a position to be able to hear that, which means we have to be generally feeling all right, right?
You just hit a chord with me that reminded me. I picked up this book. I'm gonna get it right now. I picked up this book like 2 years ago, or maybe more. It's called Thinking Body, Dancing Mind, Tao Sports for Extraordinary Performance in Athletes, Business, and Life. I read like a teeny tiny bit of it and was like, I hate this book. Like, I don't know why I hate it. It was recommended by someone who I'm super aligned with. It seems like everything, like athletics, business, and like yes, yes, and yes. And I just, for whatever reason, that was not the time. So the other day, I'm doing yoga in my office because I've been like, I think I should do some yoga, like super gentle. It was not quite yin yoga, but like slow flow yoga. So I'm doing that and I see it on my shelf and I was like, oh, hey, look at that. So I pick it up and I just like, flip through the pages, like sort of like, do I want to read this? Because now I'm coaching high school athletes and like, do I want to use it with them? And OMG, I am not exaggerating. I just accidentally flipped to exactly the same page. I mean, of course I did, but that I happened to have flipped to the other day. I'm going to have to let this stinking dog in. She's scratching at the door, but it says exercise, changing expectations to preferences. And that is the thing that I wanted to say is, when you were talking about words that hit you and like, sometimes when I'm in this, like I am a powerful creator, I have these goals, or expectations of myself that, man, it helps me to relax. If I could say, and it says, list your expectations for an upcoming performance. Upgrade each expectation and rewrite it as a preference, stating, I definitely prefer blah, 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 or something better. And doesn't that take the pressure off? Doesn't that help you to relax? Or maybe it's just me and those are the words that I needed. But like, instead of being like, oh my God, I have to make $25,000 a month or I'm going to lose my house, to like, I definitely prefer when I'm making $40,000 or more a month.
Yeah. And, this can go back to what you said in the beginning about investing in your creative fulfillment, creative life, like how that can feel like pressure, but it can also feel like liberation and like believing in yourself. And, it can feel like your preference instead of you have to do this in order to achieve what you want, because that's the opposite of creativity, right?
Oh my goodness. Speaking of preferences, good gracious. You've got cats like wandering around and like wanting to be in the frame. And I have a dog that just keeps walking from like, there's 2 doors in this room and she just keeps wanting to be let out, then let in. Like it's a whole thing. So I keep disappearing because that's what my dog has strong preferences.
Well, my cat does too, and she has claws, and I'm slowly backing away because I can feel them wanting to come toward my face. So I just want to say, you guys, like this conversation did not go where I thought it might, which is fine. That's why we're here live. But I just want to briefly mention that we can prepare for what we want. And that's really like what the tools below helped me to do. I knew I was interested in having financial freedom. I knew people achieved such things. I knew that I never grew up with a strong financial role modeling. I didn't know about all this stuff and being self employed. I didn't know about, retirement and all that stuff. So, anyway, over the last decade or so, these tools have popped up for me, and they're things that have helped me to be able to envision the future that I want. It's like Wealthfront is like an easy way to have a retirement account, an investment account for me, and it's online and it's like fun. Can I say that? Is that okay? And there's 2 books below. Profit First. If you have your own business, and even if you don't, so important to pay yourself first. We've all heard that, but even if it's just a little bit at a time, if there was a point where I realized, like, okay, if my business has made like, $250,000, do I have any of that still? And so you want to pay yourself first, because then as you keep growing, so does your personal wealth. Really, really fun to watch that. Like, what else do I have down there? I don't know. Aligned income, the course Carrie and I are teaching right now. You can still hop in. We talk about all of this stuff and in a much more, I guess, like teacher, you get to do exercises. You are there with us. You are growing with us. We're helping you process this real time, and more. So just, if you feel like sometimes we have too many things in our head and we need to write them down. And then we have so many things written down, we need folders. And then we have so many folders, we need a file cabinet. These things that I have below are ways that I've been able to organize what I want to put in them, which is money. And that has helped me to feel better about spending more time away from my income generating activities, quote unquote, to have a creative life that is now poised to pay me even more than this business that is currently supporting me. So I think it's helpful to join the energetic and the physical, because that is what we are, which is so cool.
Yeah. And it's interesting, Rachel, because I think I come naturally from a lot of the tool space, right? So what has been helpful for me is like, and I don't know if you have these listed below or not, but Happy Pocket Full of Money, or why do I never remember, Busting Loose from the Money Game, like those that are coming from a much more energetic side of things. So Yeah, I love that. I love, oh, I guess it's all coming from an energetic side of things. If we're honest, that's what profit first is. That's right. Um, but yeah, this is something I don't know. Um, I've been a very, like, I was, when I first got hired as a teacher and I was like 22 or whatever, like I remember being in the retirement meeting, uh, with all the like teachers that were 2 years from retirement, like I've always had that interest there, like planning for the future and building wealth and all of that. And so for me, the tools that have showed up they've been you and the energetic books and things like that. So I think it's cool to see the juxtaposition.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why it's like this is such a personal journey. The elements are similar for everyone, the foundation is similar, but what is going to hit us and help us, resonate to the path that we're seeking is going to be different. So it's cool. The first job I ever had that had an option of a 401k, I like I couldn't afford health insurance or to invest in that. So it was like, it took me a while to come around to it, but now it is fun. I love it. One thing I love about Wealthfront is that when you log in on your phone or online, you can tell it, my aim is to save this much per month. And it has this nice chart for you that says how much you'll have at retirement. And it's just so much fun to play around with that. And like, I don't know, it makes it visual for me. It makes it fun. Um, Another book that's down there is Work Optional, which I love. I love that book so much. It really merges the energetic and the physical. Um, and the reason I started this, my cat now, I just want to finish this one sentence. Today I wanted to come in here and talk about how high I get when I think about my creative edge and like being able to devote huge chunks of time to like my creative expression. Like to me, that's what lights me up in this life. And like figuring out money and having my own business, my own schedule has allowed me to do that. And I know that's not going to be the same for everybody. Not everyone will benefit from their own business, but like this is the greatest thing I've ever done. It is like so fulfilling. And yeah, at the beginning, I didn't know what I was doing whatsoever, but it is your nudges will show you your way to that. Relax, feel, listen, act, and you'll get to where you feel really plugged into life.
Oh, I went to unmute. I was already unmuted. Honestly, guys, I don't have anything to add to that. I'm actually wondering what your experience of this call has been. Rachel came up. She came to this call saying she was already feeling like really open and high in an energetic sense, and I definitely wasn't. I definitely am now. So thank you. And I think that is the magic of not just the work that we do, but the work that we're all doing, is that we can do this. We can change a little bit of deliberate action, right? Or deliberate thought or deliberate relaxing, deliberate doing. And we can change our whole plane of existence. That feels amazing.
And it's not even we can change it, is we do change it.
Yeah.
We do. That's how we work. It has to be the same. Insides create outsides.
Mark says Rachel is a drug.
Oh,
I love that you took it as a compliment. Yeah, man. Like, energy is contagious.
well, if you want more of that drug, come join us in Aligned Income or the Intuitive Art Certification. I got lots more of me where that came from.
Yes, please join us in Aligned Income. It is so good. It is, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm probably going through what I'm going through right now because of the work that I've been doing in aligned income. But yeah, what powerful stuff, right? Getting us, it's getting me out of what I just told you from of that stagnant, I don't even know what to want anymore phase to like, oh, right, back on track, like aligned with my bigger vision. So thanks.
I want to add that Corinne says, this was already a theme of my day, so I'm leaving grateful and more motivated. Peace to you. That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, and that's why I brought it to you, because it was a theme of my day. Yeah, really great. I love this, and I don't know, we're both tongue-tied at this point, so we may as well say goodbye, but it's such a great topic. We love supporting you, and I had someone support me today, and it just feels so good to know that there are people on your side that believe in what you believe in. And, you know, Carrie, I definitely 100% believe in your dreams. I know you believe in mine, and we believe in yours, all of you. You have this thing that you think, maybe I could have that, or I could definitely have that. And whatever side of that you're on, just keep going, because you'll get there.
Yeah, I got nothing to add except for yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will leave you with this. Thank you so much for being here. We love spending time with you, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.